Hello everybody, Robert here, and today I'm talking about something that I actually was wondering myself. So for those of you who may or may not know, along with all the upgrades that I've been doing to my personal computer, I happened to go and pick up one of these Western Digital Caviar Black 500 gig hard drives. Well, one of the questions that came up is a Caviar Black really necessary as compared to a Caviar Blue or even another drive? Well, that's why I'm kind of producing this video today. I had the same question, so I'm going to explain everything to you. For starters, the Western Digital Caviar Black is coming in at $100 for 500 gigs, and the Caviar Blue is coming in at $80 for 500 gigs. So a $20 difference. If you got money, it really isn't anything to concern you. But what I also wanted to explain is what's the difference. Well, in the Caviar Blue, you get 64 megs of cache as compared to the 16 megs of cache in a Caviar Blue. I may have said black. Probably did. Also, you get better read and write times. The read and write times aren't exactly super comparable, but that's going to be towards the end of the video. Well, for starters, what is the 64 megs of cache and what is the 16 megs of cache? Majority of the people who are computer builders probably don't know the exact definition. So pretty much the thing I'm going to do is draw you a crude diagram. So let's pull this aside and take these drives and move them over. So here I have an index card, and I'm going to explain cache to you based off of one that I drew before it. Sorry, I have a cold. Let's see. Right there. Okay. Actually, I'm going to put this under because I don't need to get Sharpie on my dresser. Okay, so for starters, you have the cache, and you have your disk drive. So for instance, let's go with the Caviar Black hard drive. As we know, it had 64 megabytes, as compared to the disk itself, which was 500 gigabytes. Alright, so let's just give a little line down the middle with that. Now, cache. The definition of cache turns to be a transparent data storage for future use. Now, if you go and ask majority of the computer users what files are stored in cache, they wouldn't know. Cache cycles itself. Things aren't always permanent. So if you have a drive that you're just putting your OS on, now that's going to stay the same because you're not reading and writing as many things as you would if you have your one drive for your computer, which you would constantly add temporary files to, or you would add your Word documents. If you have one drive dedicated only to your operating system, it's only going to have your operating system on it, which doesn't require as much writing as a regular drive would. So for instance, let's say you have one drive for your PC. So one for your PC. And now, let's say, so you have your disk drive over here. The disk drive has to spin to read and to write. So it does that. And then cache is just already stored there. So stored previously. Or we could have said allocated previously. Running out of room. Okay, so that was stored previously. This, it was not. This is almost like a saved file. This is a not saved file. Now, the way it works is your hard drive works in steps. Step 1, it goes to the cache. Is your item there? Yes or no. If no, it goes to your disk drive. If yes, it is immediately pulled down to your output. If no, it has to move up here, like we demonstrated, go to your disk drive. Luckily, we have 7,200 RPM drives, 1000 RPM, or 10,000 RPM, and so on and so on. So luckily, that spins pretty fast. But it also has to spin, go through that whole drive, which honestly, the average human wouldn't notice that time. It has to go through, go through that, cycle it, find that little dot of information that we're looking for, and pull that out, as compared to it going to your cache. Is it there? If yes, pulled out right away. If no, moves on, cycles through your disk, pulled out. Now, what is this all about? Well, we have 64 megs of cache as compared to 500 gigs. So what type of file would you find in your cache? And honestly, you would not even need to know that. The type of file found in your cache usually is something that you could never recognize, nor translate, nor open. For instance, if you have your OS on your disk, your cache, well, in your cache will probably be some sort of file that you can't read. That's more of an operating system command, which I'm not going to go into detail with, but essentially, bigger number is better. So that crude diagram has been drawn. Let's move everything back over. And let's go back to here. So, back to the comparison. 64 megs as compared with 16. Now, you can probably tell which is going to be more efficient, as this stores a decent amount more than this does. They're still both small numbers, but the storage matters. I'm not going to get Sharpie on this, so let me take the cap off. Alright, so back to the comparison. 500 gig, oh, I should probably zoom out. 500 gig, 7200 RPM, 7200 RPM, 16 megs of cache, 64 megs of cache. How noticeable is this to the average user with the cache? Not noticeable. But it also can help with your sequential read and sequential write speeds, and now we're going to go to the next diagram for that.
Alright guys, so I went ahead and I tested the two drives for their read and write capabilities, and I put together a little graph that shows the speeds for you. So this is the read speeds on the Caviar Blue and the Caviar Black. Here you can see the black read is the blue line, and the blue read is the red line. So they start off, these numbers on the side increment megabytes per second, or kilobytes per second. No, yeah, this is megabytes a second. The video I did has kilobytes. And these are just the different increments that it did it in, I think it goes by exponents of 2. Anyway, so here you can see the black read line, they both increase exponentially, and then it dominates it for the majority of the time. Then it gets to up here, and it starts to get into a little cross section between the two of them, where it gets to the point where either one would be sufficient enough. So for smaller bits of data or sizes of data, obviously the black is suppressing it or surpassing it, but when it gets to about here, you can't tell a difference. Now if we take a look at the read or the write speeds, disregard this. I have no idea why that happened. I looked through the data in the spreadsheet and it just did that. As you can see, the black write still dominates. Still dominates the blue write until it gets to about the same point as the previous one, where they just kind of start to intertangle and neither one really surpasses each other. But for smaller types or smaller sizes of data, the black is far more impressive. Alright, so now I'm going to show you the actual video that I have, and this is just a test. Now you can see on the left side I am testing the Caviar Black. This is not in real-time speed. I am testing the sequential read and sequential write speeds with different sizes of data. On the left we have this in megabytes a second, so if you look right here, we have 0.5, 1, 2, 4, 8, and it just increases. Over here, I have the Caviar Blue doing the exact same. And I'm just going to pause the video once this is done so I can show you exactly how they perform. So, almost done. Alright, so looking here you can see on the Caviar Black, when we do half a megabyte, the write speed is 9758, and the write speed over here is 8832. Nothing really different at all, not noticeable. Over here though, the read speed is 15,449 as compared to 6,000. And then if you go down one, the read speed is 28,000 compared to 12,000, 23 compared to 65, 106 compared to 29, 79 compared to 124, and then it gets to this long streak where they just start to intertangle and it doesn't seem to make much of a difference. So, like I was saying, up until about 8 megabytes of data transfer, you really don't notice a difference. So, with that being said, that's right, this is stupid me. With that being said, which drive is more efficient to go with? Well, I honestly am going to say the Caviar Black. Even though the read and write speeds aren't very much different, it does have the more cache that is far more useful, and you can take good advantage of that. So with that being said, guys, I'd just like to say thank you for watching. I hope you understood this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to say. Also, you are entitled to your own opinion on which drive is more efficient or which is more cost-effective, but I'm just stating my personal opinion. So guys, also today is Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day. Please, if you have family who has supported your nation's troops, whether it is Veterans Day in your country or not, I know in the United States it is, be sure to thank them for what they did. And for those of you who may have lost someone in the act of duty for their country or nation, I have the utmost respect for that person. Once again, thank you and happy holidays.